Being a true Stoic isn't just about mastering your emotions or showing resilience in the face of challenges. It's also about living with integrity, maintaining inner peace, and understanding the power of silence. In today's video, we'll discuss 7 things you should always keep private to truly embody the Stoic philosophy. 1. Keep your long-term goals private. The Stoic approach. In the pursuit of becoming a true Stoic, one of the most important lessons we can learn is the power of silence when it comes to our long-term goals. It may be tempting to share our ambitions with the world, whether it's to gain validation or simply to express excitement. However, the Stoics, with their wisdom passed down through centuries, teach us the value of keeping our aspirations to ourselves until they manifest into reality. When we openly announce our plans, we often expose ourselves to unnecessary distractions and opinions. Everyone has an opinion, and some people might project their own fears or doubts onto your ambitions, even if unintentionally. This can cause us to second-guess ourselves, lose confidence, or become discouraged before we've even begun. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." In this context, we can adapt this quote to our ambitions. Don't waste time discussing your goals. Focus instead on taking the actions necessary to achieve them. Sharing goals with others often leads to a search for validation. We might feel a sense of pride or satisfaction when someone acknowledges our aspirations, but Stoicism teaches us not to rely on external approval. Seeking validation shifts the focus from the journey itself to how others perceive that journey. This, in turn, can lead to misplaced motivation, pursuing a goal for the sake of praise rather than for its intrinsic value. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This applies to validation too. If we constantly crave external approval, we become poor in self-reliance and inner strength. Instead of looking for external praise, the Stoic approach encourages us to cultivate inner discipline and remain steadfast in our goals, no matter who notices. A core tenet of Stoicism is that actions speak louder than words. It's not what you say you will do, but what you actually accomplish that matters. By keeping your long-term goals private, you free yourself from the burden of needing to explain your actions or justify your decisions. This is in line with the Stoic principle of apatheia, or freedom from passion, which teaches us to focus on rational thought and meaningful action rather than being swayed by emotion or ego. In fact, Epictetus, another prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized this point when he said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In the same way, we should not explain our goals. We should live them. Every step you take toward your goal is a reflection of your inner philosophy and strength. Keeping your goals private helps you remain focused on what truly matters. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of setting a big goal and talking about it endlessly. But talking about a goal doesn't bring you any closer to achieving it. In fact, research shows that discussing your goals can sometimes give you a false sense of accomplishment, tricking your brain into thinking you've made progress just by speaking about it. The Stoics were all about ataraxia, a state of calmness and peace. By keeping your long-term goals to yourself, you preserve your mental clarity and can focus fully on the steps needed to achieve them without being distracted by others' reactions. At the heart of Stoicism is the understanding that we cannot control external outcomes, but we can control our actions. By keeping our long-term goals private, we allow our results to speak for themselves. Once we have accomplished something, it will be clear to everyone without the need for prior explanation or justification. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Similarly, the best statement about your goals is not to announce them, just achieve them. Let your actions and the outcomes of your efforts reflect your strength and dedication. Keeping your long-term goals private aligns perfectly with the Stoic philosophy of focusing on action over words, maintaining inner peace, and avoiding distractions. By choosing to stay silent about your dreams, You not only protect yourself from unnecessary criticism or praise, but also allow your mind to stay disciplined and focused. When the time comes, your results will speak volumes, far louder than any words could. As Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. 2. Keep your personal struggles private. The Stoic approach. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that life will inevitably present hardships and struggles. Whether these challenges are personal, emotional, or physical, the Stoics believed in handling them with quiet resilience and inner strength. To truly embody Stoicism, we must learn to face our difficulties without seeking pity or validation from others. Instead, we should focus on cultivating fortitude and maintaining grace through life's storms. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the idea that suffering is a part of life. We cannot control the obstacles we face, but we can control how we respond to them. By choosing to endure our struggles silently, without broadcasting our pain to the world, we demonstrate strength and self-mastery. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus advised, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." In this way, we understand that personal struggles are not meant to be announced to others in search of comfort or sympathy. Instead, they are opportunities for growth and inner development. In modern society, many people are conditioned to share their hardships publicly, whether on social media or in conversation. While it's natural to seek support in times of need, the Stoics believe that true strength does not come from sharing our pain, but from enduring it with grace. By keeping our struggles private, we allow ourselves to develop mental and emotional resilience, learning to rely on our own inner resources rather than on external validation. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, offered wisdom on this matter in his Meditations. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When we keep our personal struggles to ourselves, we take ownership of our response to those struggles. We demonstrate that we do not need to be defined by our hardships, nor do we need others to recognize our suffering for us to be strong. Sharing personal struggles with the world can often lead to a search for pity or validation. While sympathy from others may feel comforting in the short term, it can weaken our ability to navigate challenges on our own. The Stoics warned against becoming overly dependent on external opinions, as they can lead us away from cultivating self-sufficiency and inner peace. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "It is more civilized to make fun of life than to bewail it." This quote reflects the Stoic belief that rather than complaining about life's hardships, we should meet them with a calm and even disposition. By internalizing our struggles, we build the character and strength necessary to handle whatever life throws at us. Stoicism teaches us to be content with our internal responses, rather than seeking comfort in the reactions of others. Facing adversity with grace is a key tenet of Stoicism. The Stoics believe that suffering is inevitable, but how we bear that suffering reveals our true character. Whether we are dealing with loss, illness, or personal failure, the Stoic way is to accept the situation without letting it disturb our inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This insight teaches us that our struggles are not obstacles to be avoided or lamented, but pathways to growth. By enduring hardship with dignity and without complaint, we transform our struggles into opportunities for self-improvement. Keeping personal struggles private is not about bottling up emotions or ignoring our pain. Rather, it is about developing emotional mastery, learning to process our emotions internally and respond to them in a way that aligns with our values. The Stoics were masters of apatheia, a state of being undisturbed by emotional turbulence. This does not mean feeling nothing, but rather responding to emotional challenges with rationality and calm. As Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. By practicing emotional mastery, we learn to handle our struggles without allowing them to consume us. We can feel sadness, fear, or frustration without letting these emotions dictate our actions. When we keep our personal struggles private, we are better able to reflect on them calmly and work through them with a clear mind. The Stoic approach to personal struggles is one of quiet resilience and inner strength. Rather than announcing our pain to the world in search of pity or validation, we learn to bear our burdens privately, trusting in our own capacity for growth and endurance. Stoicism teaches us that suffering is not something to be avoided or complained about, but rather an integral part of life that helps us develop character and wisdom. By following the example of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius Seneca and Epictetus, we can navigate life's hardships with grace and fortitude. When we endure our personal struggles without seeking external sympathy, we cultivate a strength that is both unshakable and deeply rooted in the principles of Stoicism. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. 3. Keep your acts of kindness private. The Stoic approach. In a world where acts of kindness are often shared and praised publicly, Stoicism offers a different, more humble perspective. For a Stoic, kindness is not something to be paraded or used to gain recognition. True kindness is performed for the sake of virtue itself, not for external rewards or validation. The Stoics believed that genuine good deeds should be kept private, as the motivation for helping others should come from within, not from a desire for praise. At the heart of Stoicism is the pursuit of virtue. The Stoics believed that living a virtuous life was the ultimate goal, and this included the practice of kindness, generosity, and compassion. However, for Stoics, the act of doing good was not about receiving external rewards or acknowledgement. Instead, it was about aligning oneself with nature and living according to reason. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." This means that kindness is a natural and essential part of living a good life. It should be practiced without fanfare or expectation of recognition, for it is simply the right thing to do. In today's world, there is often a temptation to share acts of kindness on social media or talk about them with others in order to receive praise. While sharing kindness can inspire others, Stoicism warns against allowing this to become the primary motivation. Seeking praise for good deeds can corrupt the act itself, turning it into a transaction rather than a selfless expression of virtue. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, emphasized this when he said, "The reward of a good deed is to have done it." For the Stoic, the act of kindness is its own reward. When we help others, we should do so because it is the right thing to do, not because we expect to be thanked or admired. By keeping our acts of kindness private, we preserve the purity of our intentions and avoid the dangers of ego and pride. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control external circumstances, including how others perceive our actions. Instead, we must focus on what is within our control, our own thoughts, actions, and intentions. By keeping our good deeds private, we maintain control over our motivations. We ensure that we are practicing kindness out of a genuine desire to help others rather than seeking external validation. As Epictetus reminds us, keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours. In the context of kindness, this means that how others react to our good deeds is beyond our control. What matters is that we act from a place of virtue, and this is a deeply personal, internal practice. One of the key virtues in Stoicism is humility. The Stoics believed that humility is essential for living a life of wisdom and virtue. When we keep our acts of kindness private, we practice humility by not drawing attention to ourselves. We focus on the well-being of others. rather than on how our actions reflect on us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This mindset encourages us to approach life with gratitude and humility. It reminds us that our ability to help others is a privilege, not something to be flaunted. By keeping our kindness private, we embody the Stoic principle of living humbly and focusing on the welfare of others without seeking personal gain. Stoicism aligns closely with the concept of the Golden Rule, treating others as we would like to be treated. However, the Stoic approach adds an additional layer of selflessness. We are encouraged to treat others kindly, not because we expect them to return the favor, or because we want others to know about our actions, but because it is the right way to live. Seneca wisely observed, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for a kindness." This quote highlights the Stoic belief that kindness should be a natural part of our daily lives, a constant and quiet practice that does not require recognition. Each person we encounter offers us the opportunity to practice kindness, and we should do so without any thought of reward. Stoicism teaches us that kindness is a virtue that should be practiced for its own sake, not for the sake of praise or recognition. Genuine acts of kindness come from a place of selflessness and are performed quietly, without expectation of external rewards. By keeping our good deeds private, we protect the purity of our intentions, practice humility, and align ourselves with the Stoic pursuit of virtue. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In this sense, we should focus less on talking about our good deeds and more on simply being kind, quietly and consistently. True Stoic kindness is not about the recognition we receive, but about the positive impact we make in the lives of others. 4. Keep your wisdom and knowledge private. The Stoic approach. In our fast-paced world, there is often a pressure to display our knowledge and prove our intelligence. Whether it's through conversation, social media, or professional settings, many people feel the need to showcase what they know. However, the Stoic philosophy takes a different approach to wisdom. True wisdom, according to the Stoics, does not seek to announce itself. Instead, it is best expressed through action and silence. A Stoic understands that wisdom speaks loudest when it is not flaunted, but instead, quietly informs how we live our lives. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the importance of internalizing wisdom rather than externalizing it. For the Stoic, wisdom is not something to be displayed for the approval or admiration of others. Instead, it is a personal guide that shapes how we navigate the world. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." This includes the need for external validation. When we try to show off our knowledge, we are seeking approval from others, a desire that is beyond our control. Instead, we should focus on mastering ourselves and applying our wisdom where it truly matters, in our actions. In Stoicism, wisdom is not just about knowing facts or being intellectually gifted. True wisdom lies in applying knowledge to live a virtuous life. The Stoics believed that actions speak far louder than words. A Stoic does not need to tell the world what they know, because their behavior reveals their understanding. As the philosopher Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This powerful statement reminds us that the best way to demonstrate wisdom is to live according to it. There is no need to boast about our knowledge or correct others to prove a point. Instead, by living wisely, by showing patience, kindness, and self-discipline, we reveal the depth of our understanding without saying a word. It's easy to fall into the trap of intellectual vanity, wanting to show others how much we know or proving that we are right. This behavior, however, runs counter to Stoic teachings. The Stoics warned against being ruled by the ego, and intellectual vanity is a clear manifestation of the ego's desire for superiority. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, wisely said, It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. This craving can also apply to knowledge and recognition. Constantly seeking opportunities to show off what we know reveals an internal poverty, a need for validation that is never truly satisfied. True wisdom, on the other hand, is content with itself. It does not need to be paraded or broadcasted. Stoicism does not teach us to withhold wisdom altogether, but to share it with care and intention. When we do choose to share our knowledge, it should be done with humility, and only when it serves a greater purpose. There is no virtue in giving unsolicited advice or correcting others simply to display our intelligence. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to share our wisdom when it can genuinely help someone, and even then, to do so with humility. As Marcus Aurelius advises, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This reminds us that we should focus on embodying our wisdom rather than speaking about it. When we do share knowledge, it should be with the intent to help others, not to show off or elevate ourselves in the eyes of others. Another aspect of Stoic wisdom is the ability to listen more than we speak. True wisdom understands the value of learning from others, even when we think we know more. By practicing humility and allowing others to speak, we not only gain new perspectives, but also show that we do not need to dominate conversations with our knowledge. Epictetus emphasized the importance of listening when he said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In a world that often values speaking over listening, this is a reminder that silence can be more powerful than words. By choosing to listen rather than speak, we cultivate patience and humility, both of which are key components of Stoic wisdom. 5. Keep your financial status private. The Stoic approach. In a society that often equates success with wealth and material possessions, the Stoic philosophy offers a refreshing counterpoint. For the Stoics, a person's value is not determined by their financial status or the things they own. Instead, true worth is found in character, virtue, and the ability to live a good life. Stoicism teaches that our financial matters should be kept private, and that we should strive to live with simplicity and humility, regardless of our wealth or lack thereof. The Stoics recognize that wealth, like many other external factors, is largely beyond our control. While money can provide comfort and security, it should never be the measure of a person's value. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and virtues, and to treat external things like money with indifference. As Epictetus famously said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This perspective encourages us to cultivate contentment with what we have, rather than constantly striving for more. By detaching ourselves from the pursuit of wealth, we free ourselves from the anxiety and dissatisfaction that often come with it. In Stoicism, virtue is the highest good. The Stoics believe that a person's worth is determined by their character, how they treat others, how they handle adversity, and how they live according to reason and virtue. Money, on the other hand, is a neutral tool that can be used for good or ill. It has no bearing on a person's moral value. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, emphasized this point. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. This statement highlights the Stoic belief that wealth is not about the amount of money a person has, but about their attitude toward it. Someone who is constantly chasing wealth, regardless of how much they already have, is poorer than someone who is content with little. True wealth comes from within, from the peace of mind that accompanies a virtuous life. The Stoics warned against the dangers of flaunting wealth and making it central to one's identity. When we boast about our financial status or show off our material possessions, we risk becoming slaves to external validation. Our sense of self-worth becomes tied to things outside of our control, how others perceive us and the things we own. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, cautioned against this kind of behavior. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. By keeping our financial matters private and living simply, we protect ourselves from the temptation of vanity and the constant need for more. We shift our focus away from external wealth and toward internal richness, developing our virtues, improving our character, and living in harmony with nature. Simplicity is a cornerstone of Stoic living. The Stoics believed that living with fewer material desires leads to greater freedom and peace of mind. By adopting a simple lifestyle, we minimize distractions and focus on what truly matters: our growth as individuals and our relationships with others. Epictetus advised, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he is not, but rejoices for those which he has." This mindset helps us to appreciate the resources we have, whether they are modest or abundant, and to avoid the endless pursuit of wealth that can lead to dissatisfaction and unhappiness. A Stoic life is not about accumulating possessions, but about cultivating wisdom, kindness, and resilience. Another key Stoic principle is humility. Even if one has great wealth, Stoicism teaches that it should be treated with indifference. Wealth is temporary and outside our control. It can come and go. Therefore, we should not take pride in our financial status, nor should we allow it to define who we are. Seneca, who was both a Stoic philosopher and one of the wealthiest men in Rome, understood the impermanence of wealth. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Seneca's wealth did not conflict with his Stoic beliefs, because he did not let it dominate his life. He remained focused on living virtuously, and his wealth was simply a tool to be used wisely, not a source of pride. The Stoic approach to financial matters is not about rejecting wealth altogether, but about managing it wisely and with humility. Whether we have much or little, Stoicism teaches us to live in a way that reflects our inner values rather than our external circumstances. We should not feel the need to discuss our financial status or draw attention to it. Instead, we should let our actions and our character speak for us. Marcus Aurelius summed up this principle well. "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This reminds us that we should not compare ourselves to others or feel the need to compete based on wealth or status. Our goal is to live according to virtue, regardless of our material circumstances. 6. Keep your intimate relationships private. In an age where personal lives are often shared openly, especially on social media, Stoicism offers a more reserved and thoughtful approach to intimate relationships. For the Stoic, the most profound bonds are nurtured and maintained in private, away from the noise and distractions of the outside world. A Stoic values deep, meaningful connections over public displays of affection or constant validation from others. By guarding our relationships from the public eye, we protect their sanctity and allow them to flourish in a space of trust, respect, and quiet understanding. Stoicism teaches us that our inner world, our thoughts, actions, and emotions, is where we should place our attention. Intimate relationships, too, are part of this inner life. They are sacred and deeply personal, not meant for public display or external validation. The Stoics believe that what is most valuable in life should be protected and kept away from external influence. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This quote speaks to the Stoic principle of focusing on what truly matters, the quality of our inner life and our close relationships. When we expose our intimate relationships to the opinions of others, we risk undermining their value and allowing outside perspectives to affect something deeply personal. A Stoic relationship is built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. These are qualities that can only be nurtured in private, away from the pressures of public opinion. When we share too much of our personal lives with the world, we invite unnecessary scrutiny and judgment, which can erode the foundation of trust in a relationship. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of maintaining privacy in our lives. What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself. This wisdom can be applied to relationships as well. Before we can truly be present and supportive in an intimate relationship, we must first learn to guard and protect the connection from external distractions. Being a friend to ourselves means understanding the importance of privacy, boundaries, and keeping our most meaningful relationships sacred. One of the key principles in Stoicism is the concept of apatheia, or freedom from unnecessary emotions, especially those driven by external factors like praise or criticism. In the context of intimate relationships, this means that we should not seek validation or approval from others regarding our partnerships, whether it's through social media posts, public displays of affection, or constant sharing of personal details. The Stoic path encourages us to focus on the bond itself rather than on how it appears to others. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, taught, "If you're ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your integrity. If you need a witness, be your own." In our relationships, this means that the only validation that matters is the mutual understanding and love shared between partners. Seeking approval from others compromises the integrity of the relationship by shifting the focus away from the bond and toward external opinions. By keeping our intimate relationships private, we avoid this trap and maintain the purity of our connection. Stoicism emphasizes the power of silence and reflection. In the context of relationships, this can mean nurturing your bond through quiet moments of connection rather than grand gestures or public declarations of love. Stoic relationships are based on actions, not words. Rather than seeking to impress others with the appearance of a perfect relationship, Stoics invest their energy in quietly supporting, understanding, and growing with their partner. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This quote can be applied to relationships as well. Instead of focusing on how others perceive your relationship or striving to meet external standards, focus on being a good partner. Quiet acts of kindness, patience, and support speak far more than any public display could. Setting boundaries in relationships is essential to maintaining their health and longevity. Stoicism teaches us that we should be mindful of what we allow into our lives and who we allow to influence us. By keeping our relationships private, we create a protective boundary that shields the bond from unnecessary complications or intrusions. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This applies not only to friendships but also to intimate relationships. Protecting the boundaries of your relationship allows you and your partner to grow together in a space of mutual respect, free from outside distractions. For the Stoics, love is a natural part of life, but it is not something to be treated as an emotion to be displayed or exaggerated. Love is an action, something that is demonstrated through care, patience, and a willingness to grow together. Publicly showcasing love often turns it into a spectacle rather than a genuine connection. As Epictetus reminded us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This means that if you want to be a good partner, focus on your actions rather than seeking external approval. Let your love be something you live every day through small, thoughtful actions, rather than something you perform for others. The Stoic approach to intimate relationships is one of privacy, humility, and quiet strength. In a world where public displays of affection and oversharing are common, Stoicism reminds us of the importance of protecting the sacredness of our bonds. By keeping our relationships private, we create space for deeper connection, mutual growth, and trust. Stoic love is not about external validation or public recognition. It is about the quiet, consistent practice of being a good partner and nurturing a meaningful, virtuous connection away from the noise of the world. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Let men see, let them know, a real man who lives as he was meant to live." In the context of relationships, this means living in a way that honors your bond with your partner, not by showcasing it to others, but by cherishing it in private, where it can grow and thrive without interference. 7. Keep your future plans private. The Stoic mindset places a strong emphasis on living in the present and controlling what is within our power. When it comes to future plans, the Stoics advise us to keep our intentions private until our goals are achieved. This philosophy discourages us from seeking external validation or sharing unfinished plans, which can lead to distractions, unnecessary pressure, and even failure. By staying focused on the present and working diligently toward our goals in silence, we allow the results to speak for themselves. One of the key principles of Stoicism is the ability to focus on what is within our control. Future outcomes are, by nature, uncertain and outside our full control. While we can take action to steer events in a desired direction, we cannot guarantee specific outcomes. By keeping our future plans private, we avoid the temptation to become overly attached to outcomes or to seek approval from others for something that has not yet come to pass. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This simple wisdom reminds us that actions speak louder than words. It is not enough to plan or talk about what we want to achieve. True Stoicism lies in taking deliberate, focused action without broadcasting our intentions to others. By keeping our plans private, we protect our focus and energy, allowing us to fully commit to the work required to achieve our goals. In today's world, sharing future plans, whether it's a career change, a new business venture, or a personal goal, often invites the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. These external voices can cloud our judgment and create unnecessary pressure, making it harder to stay true to our path. Stoicism teaches us that we should not rely on the approval of others to validate our actions. Instead, we should take satisfaction in our efforts and the internal sense of accomplishment that comes from living in accordance with our values. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the context of planning, this means that we should focus on becoming the person we want to be through our actions, rather than talking about what we will do or seeking recognition for our intentions. Our plans are personal, and their success depends on our commitment, not on the opinions of others. A key teaching in Stoicism is to live fully in the present. The future is uncertain, and while we may have plans and aspirations, it is the actions we take today that will determine our success. By keeping our future plans private, we ensure that our energy is directed toward what we can do now, rather than becoming preoccupied with future possibilities. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, offered valuable advice on this subject. "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This quote highlights the importance of using our time wisely, focusing on the present moment, rather than spending it discussing or imagining future outcomes. Stoicism teaches us to act in the present, knowing that the future is shaped by what we do today. By guarding our future plans in silence, we create space for focused, intentional action. Sharing our future plans with others can invite a range of distractions. Opinions, doubts, and unsolicited advice can pull us away from the clarity and focus required to accomplish our goals. Stoicism teaches us to maintain a disciplined mind, one that is not swayed by external influences or distracted by unnecessary thoughts. By keeping our future plans to ourselves, we protect our mental and emotional space, allowing us to remain fully engaged in the task at hand. Epictetus advised, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This quote encourages us to ignore the judgments or misunderstandings of others as we quietly work toward our goals. There is strength in embracing silence, in allowing others to see only the results of our efforts rather than hearing about our intentions. The Stoic path is one of quiet confidence, where we allow our work to speak for itself. The Stoics believed that results are the best measure of action. Rather than seeking praise for what we intend to do, we should let the results of our efforts reveal our accomplishments. This approach ensures that our focus remains on the work itself, rather than on how others perceive us. As Marcus Aurelius put it, "The fruit of this life is a good character, and acts for the common good." In the context of future plans, this means that we should work toward our goals with the intention of creating something valuable and meaningful, without the need for external recognition or approval. When the time comes, our results will be the true testament to our efforts, and they will speak louder than any words ever could. Stoicism teaches us the value of keeping our future plans private. By avoiding the temptation to share our intentions prematurely, we protect our focus, reduce distractions, and free ourselves from the need for external validation. The Stoic approach to life emphasizes present action over future dreams, urging us to invest our energy in what we can control now. Silence, in this context, is a source of strength and wisdom, allowing us to work diligently and let our results speak for themselves. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "Do every act of your life as if it were your last." By living with this mindset, we stay grounded in the present, take purposeful action, and build a life of quiet strength and integrity, without the need to reveal our plans or seek validation from others. The Stoic path is one of calm, focused effort, where future success is quietly cultivated and achieved in private. Embrace the power of silence, and remember that a true Stoic lets their actions, not their words, define them. Keep these 7 things private, and you'll cultivate inner peace and strength on your Stoic journey. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and life-changing lessons.